Hey guys, I'm here with my first project for the Wild Orchid Crafts design team, the Wild Bunch, and I'm going to go ahead and follow up this video with just a very short how-to on how I made one of the things. So stay tuned. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the notebook, and it's just a plain notebook. I bought it from Michael's for I think $1.50, and I reinforced it with some chipboard on the back and then covered it with paper from the Princess collection from Prima. And then a lot of the embellishments here you'll see are from Wild Orchid Crafts. So let me go ahead and explain that. I did use these metal filigree corners. I absolutely love these. These are some of my favorite things from them. They're really inexpensive and they add just a beautiful, beautiful touch to any project. You can even use them as corners on these boxes because they can you can kind of mold them against the box, which I'm going to do for my next project. I'm working on kind of a big thing, and I'm using that for the corners. So they're really versatile. You can use them for many, many different things, and they just make it look just really regal is the word that comes to mind. So I just layered some paper. I used this tiny rosette trim from Wild Orchid Crafts, and this pink one is their larger rosette trim. Right now they're out of stock, but I'm assuming they'll be back in soon. And then I used some of these big pearls from Wild Orchid Crafts as well. They're a beautiful pink color, and I bought a package of 50 of them, and I'm using them up like crazy. I'm sorry, I think there's 100 in there. This is one of their white rosettes. And then these are a couple of the crown pins from Wild Orchid Crafts as well. This is the baby pink, and then this is the teal color that they have, or the aqua, I think it's called. And then I just have some doilies from my stash here and some metal pieces from my stash. Now this teeny piece of lace right here, I don't know if you can see it, but it is one of their Guipure laces. They're currently out of stock, but I think they may be coming back with it. It's an older one that I've had in my stash for a while, so I just kind of threw it on here because it just added that perfect touch. They do have one really similar, so I'll try to include that product code below, and it's just a similar Guipure lace that would do the same thing. And then the back is just some more doilies. I used their pearls to make, I wanted to do like almost like a large pearl strand. They do have pearl strands that they sell in the, I believe the 6mm size. But I wanted it to look like a huge pearl strand. And this is just some trim from my stash. I think Sabrina gave this to me. So thank you, Sabrina. And then this is a beautiful handmade flower from Leone. And I've had 4 of them that I've been kind of hoarding. So I decided to use one on this project. Since this is kind of a special project to me. And then I just have some dangly charms hanging over here, and these are just charms from my stash. So these are just my charms. And then the inside, I didn't do anything to it. The only thing I did was in the back. I had bought these little post-it notes from Michael's, and I just glued them in here with some layered paper. So I'm going to be using this notebook to keep track of my expenditures for the year. I know it's already March. I'm a little behind, but this is my spring break, so I plan to kind of go through and do this now for each month. I write down what I spend, what I send out, different things like that. So this is the notebook that I created, and this is kind of like a holder for everything. So I'm going to show you that once I take everything out. And then I need some clothespins. And for these, I used some of the pearl trim. This is this really pretty pearl trim that Wild Orchid Crafts sells. It's very unique, and it looks like this. I have it in my drawer because I've been using it like crazy. And you get quite a few yards of it when you purchase it, and I've used almost all of it already. I have like a yard left. But it's really cool, very unique, and I really like it. So I just painted and then added paper and just a little bit of embellishment to some clothespins, because you never know when you might need those to hold some invoices together or whatnot. And then I have this little clipboard. I just thought this was cute. I got it from just Dollar Bin, and I decorated it using some of the Wild Orchid Crafts products. I have some poppies, some little sweetheart blossoms, and a carnation. And I have some really pretty vintage seam binding in cream. And I only got 2 colors with this first package that I got, but I actually have like 50 items in my cart right now at the Wild Orchid Crafts website. And I have a bunch of different colors because this was so easy to work with. It's so soft. You get like 5 yards of it for $1.90 or something. I mean, it can't be beat. It's really beautiful. And then on the back I have just some Raschel lace that they sell, which again I'll include the product code below. And then the pearl trim here that they sell, which is really unique. I absolutely love it. And so it's just a little clipboard. I thought, you know, if I need to jot something down. And this was just for decoration. It's something I made using the Wild Orchid Crafts flowers. I have lots of different flowers here. I have a wild rosebud. I have some sweetheart blossoms. I have some 20 millimeter open roses. Then I have some 10 millimeter open roses and some itty teeny rosebuds in the 4 millimeters. And that's just wire, flower wire, and I painted it and used stickles over it. So I couldn't figure out where to glue it, so I just kind of set it in there. Alright, and then this, everything else is glued in here, and this was meant to just be kind of like a little container to hold some things. So one of the things that I love most in this entire world is my dog, Jilly, and she is like my daughter. She really is. I would do anything for her, and I love this photo of her because it looks like she's smiling. And this was, I had this made into a calendar. This one is just like one page things with, you could put a photo and then a small calendar below. And I've had this hung up in my scrapbook room for years because I made this a long time ago. And like I said, it's one of my favorite photos because she's smiling. And I don't think I even have the original photo anymore. I just have this one copy of it. So I went ahead and put it in a frame. I outlined the frame with some seam binding, and this is in the pink blush color, and I'll put the product code below. And then this is a beautiful lace that Wild Orchid Crafts has in stock right now, and it's butterfly Guipure lace, and then just some rhinestones for my stash. And then I had this woodward called Love, and I painted it and then added some Wild Orchid Crafts products. I used the seam binding. I used some washi tape, which I'll show you because they have the coolest washi tape. I absolutely love it. It's fabric washi tape. So easy to use. I'll show it to you in a little bit because I used a bunch of it on my other part of the project. And then some of their small rosette trim. And then these are really cool. I hadn't seen these before, but these are their berry stems. Product code will be below, and they're in pink, and they have them in I think 6 to 8 different colors. So I'll include that below, but they're really fun, easy to work with. And I just added them to the corners. And inside I lined it with the small rosette trim. There's paper in there. And then on the side, I used the Raschel lace again that they have, and you get 2 yards of it for a couple bucks. A really good deal, really pretty, dainty lace. And then I used that pearl trim all the way around. I thought I gave it a really unique, classic look, and I really like it. And I didn't do anything to the back because it's gonna be kind of set up against here in the corner, so you won't really see it. And then the bottom, I did put paper on it just in case. So that's my little container. I'm gonna go ahead and layer everything back in there. And it's just kind of to hold, mainly to hold my notebook, and to hold some pins and whatever else I find, I'll go ahead and put in there. So the next thing I made was this jar, and let me go ahead and empty it first of all. Inside I just put a doily, and I cut up some chipboard to put in there to give it a little bit of weight. I'm thinking I may need to give it a little bit more because it's wanting to tip over. But this was an old container. My mom gave me a whole bunch of them for my class to use for planting things. And I think it's an oatmeal container. And she used to eat this oatmeal in the mornings, and she would just save all her containers for me. So since I have about 50 of them lying around my house, I figured I would use one. And I also used some chipboard on the bottom to give it a little bit of weight because it's just a plastic container. And just some doilies for my stash to cover up that cardboard. So I lined this with the seam binding, and I love the seam binding because it's so thin and soft, but you can't see through it when you layer it on like that. So I really love the quality of it. And the colors are beautiful, and this is in that pink blush color. And then I used some of the rosette trim, and it looks like a dark cream or dark ivory to me. It's their peach color. So I'll leave a link, a product code for that one below as well. But I really liked it. And here's another one of my Leonie flowers. So thank you, Leonie. I decided to use this because your flowers make me happy, and the whole point of this project was to make some happy stuff for my scrap room. And then here at the bottom I used some of that pearl trim and the Raschel lace again. So I used a ton of it. I love those 2 products. And those are just to hold my pens. I went ahead and made one of the mega clips. And this again is using that really cool Guipure lace from Wild Orchid Crafts. This is the one that they're out of stock of right now, but I'll leave a product code for one that's similar that would do the same thing. Here's the Raschel lace, and then just some bling trim for my stash. And then the other items I have in here are pens, and they're pens that I made using some different Wild Orchid Crafts products. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit there. Okay. And they're pens using, they're just Papermate pens that I got. I think I got 10 of them for $1. And I designed them to just kind of be pretty. So I made a few that were similar here. And this is using the cream seam binding, and I just put a little flower on the top. Then I made a couple with this is actually the white rosette trim that they have, and I made just kind of like a cascade of flowers and these really cool heart crystal stems, which I'll leave the product code below for those. They have them in lots of different colors. I just got the clear to kind of see how I would use them, and I really love them. And then I have the poppies, which I'm really impressed with these flowers. Those are also in my cart to order more, and just some wild rosebuds here. And then I twisted all the wires together, twisted it around the pen, and just wrapped the rosette trim around, which this is what I'm going to show you how I did was one of these pens. So if you stay tuned to the end of the video, I'll just show you quickly how I did it. And so then I just have this one, which is a little more fancy with the rosette trim. I also have, here's another one with just a couple of those little berries at the top, which I thought were so cute. And I do leave the caps off the pens. There's really, you don't need to have them on there. As long as they're face down in a container, they're not going to dry out. And this was just using a clock key that I had in my stash, and I just hot glue that to the end of the pen. And if you hot glue around the, whatever you're using here, this is the small rosette trim, if you hot glue it around the base of whatever you're gluing on to the top of the pen, it will just give it a little more added security. So that's one. Just thought it would be fun to add a metal piece. And then I have a couple more, and here are some using the washi tape, and I really am impressed with the quality and the style of the Wild Orchid Crafts washi tape. It's a fabric tape, and it's really sticky, so I didn't even have to use any hot glue. It just wraps, which is really cool. Really simple to use. So the little how-to I'm going to show you at the end is not using the washi tape, it's using their seam binding, because you do have to use hot glue for this. This you don't even have to use hot glue. Super simple, you get a ton of it. I still have more than half left, and I used it on 2 pens and then some other things. And I thought this was a really beautiful washi tape. So here I just have some more embellishments at the top on those pens. And then this was the other style washi tape I got, and it had a little bit of a peach color in it, so I tried to mix in some of the peaches and creams with, again, those heart crystal stems. I just wanted to make some pretty pens because I'm always losing pens. I buy 10 packs of them, and then a week later they're all missing and I have no idea where they went. So I figured if I maybe bought some pens and decorated them, I wouldn't lose them so quickly. So you see how that's wanting to kind of lift up. I need to add more weight to it. But anyway, that is my first little project set that I made for the Wild Bunch. I really hope that you guys like it. I'll be back shortly with another project. I've already started working on it. But I wanted to go ahead and film this and get this up to show you how to use some of their really fabulous, gorgeous products. And it's not just flowers that they have. They have the crystal stems, the washi tape, the trims, the laces, you name it, they have it. Go check them out. Shipping's reasonable. Shipping is actually pretty fast. And they do have quite a variety of stuff on their website. And they're having sales all the time, so always check for that. And they have a little clearance section, which is great. So again, I will link all the product codes below, and I will have pictures of this on my Facebook, which I'll link below as well. And stay tuned for a little how-to on... Okay, so here's just a really quick how-to on how I made these pens. Really, really simple. If you're wanting to make them using a cluster of flowers, I always do the cluster first. So something like this, I would just get my flowers, kind of hold them in my hand how I want them, and take one of your green wires and wrap it around the whole thing, around the whole cluster, then wrap it to your pen. So if you're wanting to do a cluster, that's how I would suggest doing it, is putting your cluster together first, then putting it on the pen. So once you have what you want to put on the pen ready, which for this one I'm just going to use one large curly wild rose. I'm going to use a pencil. because I'm out of pens, but it's the same exact thing. I'm going to want to try to glue it right in the center. So I need to kind of flatten this down, but then I'm going to want to wind the stem around the pencil. So I'm going to want to kind of make a little indent in it so that it can fold back down over the pencil. So I am going to put hot glue, and that's all I'm using is hot glue for this. It's really all you'll need. And I'm just going to hold the pencil right in the center for a minute, or the pen, whatever you're using. Just hold it there, let the glue dry. If you're like me, you're impatient, but just give it a minute and let it dry. And that'll add security, because if you start fussing with it and messing with it, then it's not going to hold as well. Alright, so once it's held down, then you're going to take your green stem and just kind of wrap it around the rest of the flower. I try to wrap it a little far down just so as I'm winding the seam binding up, it's going to give it that added security that it's not going to fall off. Even if some of the glue comes undone, your flower's not going to fall off the top. So I'm using the vintage seam binding in Pink Tulip here. I think I've been calling it blush pink, but Pink Tulip is the color. And I start at the bottom and I add a little bit of hot glue like that. And then I add the seam binding diagonally. And I curve up so that I'm right at the edge of the pen or pencil. And then I start going sideways like that, and I hold it so that I know it's set. And then I put another line of hot glue, because what I'm going to do now is start going diagonally, overlapping just a little bit. You see how I'm overlapping a teeny bit? And that's just going to give it more stability, and it's going to give it more of that pink color that you want. So then when I get to where I'm running out of glue, I just add a little more glue. Really, really simple. I just add it to the one side. You don't need to put it around the whole pen or pencil. Just as long as it's secured in one place, you've got it wrapped around there, so that's securing the rest of it. Now once I get about halfway down the pencil, now I'm going to flip, because I don't want to crush my flower, which I'm starting to do. I'm going to add here. Now this is definitely something you would probably want to do with pens rather than pencils, because if you try to sharpen the pencil now, it's going to be difficult, but for the sake of the how-to, I just wanted to show you. Now when I get up to where the wire is, now I'm starting to overlap just a teeny bit more, because I want to make sure that the wire is extra secure. I also want to make sure that my color is opaque and not transparent. I don't want to see the wire through the seam binding. And because it is sheer, you're going to want to double up a little bit. Right, so when you get to the top, you want to make sure that you have everything kind of pulled up so that you're not hot gluing your leaves down. And I'm just going to continue to twirl. And then when I get up to the very top, that's when I just got to make sure that I'm covering the top. So that's when it gets a little slower. I'm making sure that I'm covering the very top. And I'm going to add some glue right at the top. And because it's hot glue and thin seam binding, you can actually go around twice and the glue will hold it in that place, because the glue seeps through just a little bit. Alright, so now I can see that my seam binding is all the way to the top. I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and cut it. I always cut at an angle. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the very, very end, and then press it down. And be careful, because it's hot, it will seep through. Okay, so that's how you wrap your pens or pencils. Very, very simple, very quick. Then you can kind of fluff up your flower. Really cute, simple, inexpensive way to decorate something. If you're like me, having something that's personalized just kind of makes me happy. And it just makes ordinary things a little more fun when you have something like this to write with. You know, so grading papers, although it is time consuming and not the most fun thing, when I'm using a fancy pen, it makes it just a little bit more fun. So easy way to decorate something using Wild Orchid Crafts products. You can use pretty much any of their styles of flowers. You know, I use the one with the little flower bush things, berries are what they're called. And then I just use some with carnations and the crystal stem. and the washi tape. Now if you're using the washi tape, you're doing the exact same process. I start at the bottom, go to the top. The only difference is you don't need hot glue because their washi tape is sticky and it will stick to itself. I don't even use any at the end. I guess you could use a little at the end if you wanted some extra security, but I don't really think you even need to because it's so sticky that it's gonna stick itself. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks guys so much for watching. Hope you're having a wonderful afternoon. Bye.